Hi, I'm Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and in this video I am quilting a truly epic quilt. I'm getting ready to quilt this quilt that is made out of all of Tula Pink's fabrics. That's right, every print from the first several collections that she put together, there's some really hard to find fabric in this quilt. But the question is, how on earth do you quilt something like that? Well, in this video I'm going to show you how I work on this quilt from start to finish, and hopefully the result is a truly epic quilt. This quilt is epic in more than one way. It not only has all these beautiful fabrics, it's also very large. I mean, you're going to need a big quilt if you're going to fit in all those Tula Pink fabrics. Look how far it hangs off of my machine. Even though it's big, I'm still floating my quilt top because I do that on every quilt.
The quilt was made by my friend Julie Herman of Jaybird Quilts, and it has over 520 hexagons in it, most of them which are fussy cut. It's insane how much work she put into this. And it's based off her candy dish pillow pattern, but let me tell you, it's a lot bigger than a pillow.
That's enough talking. I'm ready to get quilting. Let's go.
For this quilt, the fabric truly is the most important thing, and so what I'm going to do is a couple of different techniques. My first and favorite technique is using the quilting to go around the main elements of the fabric. This is really going to help it stand out. For instance, you can see how this beautiful print has a little bunny in the middle, so I quilted around it, and I'm just filling in the rest of the area. Now what I want you to notice is that I'm not going around every single detail in the fabric. I'm picking one main focal element and then quilting around that, and then adding my filler around the rest. Another way I love to use the quilting to highlight the fabric is in the secondary patterns. In these cute little triangles that surround the blocks, I'm quilting a continuous curved line, but I'm changing the direction of it so that it frames a central piece of fabric. So here, as I'm working my way around, they're all facing towards this coral elephant in the center. Now this is just another small way to make the quilting highlight that fabric. And speaking of this cute little elephant, I'm going to use the quilting to go around that as well. And so here you can see there's a lot of detail in the print. I mean, that's what Tula Pink is known for. And I'm not going around all those itty bitty tiny feathers. I'm just kind of following the general lines. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to go around every single thing. It just has to be reminiscent of the design in the center. Oh, and here's another fun example, these cute little seahorses. I love when I can quilt around the fabrics because the design is already there. The work's already been done. All I have to do is quilt the lines that are already there. One thing I want to point out is that using a matching thread color is going to help prevent that quilting from overwhelming the fabrics or the quilt top itself. And here I'm using a light pink thread, and you can barely see it as I'm quilting. Now in this cute little fabric right here, I can't really go around all those little bitty details, but what I can do is maybe quilt pebbles so that it puts one of those ladybugs in the center of each. I love the look of pebbles, but they can get so boring to quilt. So just doing a few in this block makes it so much more manageable for me. I may just be easily amused, but I'm loving how this whole block looks like a big ladybug, with each little ladybug being the dot. Now that's cute. Working on this quilt is such a dream come true because I get bored very easily, so being able to switch between quilting designs at each of the blocks keeps me entertained. Okay, here are just a few more examples of me quilting around the fabrics in the quilt. I have to tell you, I'm having such a hard time deciding which ones to show you. These are all just so fun and so cute, and I love quilting them all. But what do you do if the fabric doesn't have any main elements to go around? What do you do if it's more of a blender? Well, I'm so glad you asked. When I'm working on fabrics such as this, there's really no elements to go around. So what I'm going to do is just quilt a nice design that has a beautiful texture, not too fussy, not too complicated, just to add a beautiful look to it. And a go-to design of mine is this swirl kind of feather. So this is another one of those prints that I can't really go around all those details. It would detract from that cute little print right there. So what I'm going to do is just a nice plume feather. This design works great in all these kind of shapes with the points. And what I'm doing is quilting a nice elongated curve. And I'm going to take it right up to the point. So swirl my way to the top, and I'm just going to work my way down, quilting these serpentine lines that look kind of like the sides of a fern, just filling in that side. Now if you want to learn how to quilt the plume feather, I actually have a free tutorial on my website, and you can find the information about that in the description box below. Then I'm going to echo my way back up to the top and do the same on the other side. Like again, if you step back, you're not going to see much of that quilting, but it just has a nice overall texture and hopefully doesn't hide too much of those cute little feet. So the fabrics where there's a focal motif, I'm going around it, but for all the rest, I'm sticking with some nice textured designs like the plume feather and the swirl feather. Hey, what can I say? I love feathers. But ultimately, any textured design would look nice. So I'm making some great progress on this quilt. I've got it about halfway done, and if I really focus, really buckle down, stop messing around on my phone, I'll probably be able to get it finished in the next day or so. You can tell I have some of the fabrics that I'm quilting around some of those elements, and others that I'm just doing something nice and overall textured in there. So a nice range of different prints, but there has to be something consistent in the quilting. So in all these diamonds, I'm quilting the same little bit of a curvy, continuous curve flower. Quilted so that they change direction so that they really focus around a focal print. And you can see here, they're starting to do it, although I haven't got to this one yet. But what I love is when you kind of step back and you see that overall texture, you'll see this kind of circle kind of shape start to come out around those hexagons. I love that. And so using the quilting just to create that slight secondary pattern is a lot of fun. Okay, back to quilting. Oh, and I should mention that I love stitching in the ditch as a way to get to other areas of the quilt. I'm having so much fun quilting, but it's always fun when visitors stop by, even if they don't like being on camera. Well, looky there, do I have a visitor? One reason I love floating my quilt tops is that I can get a good idea of how much I have left, and this is an exciting time. This huge quilt is finally up off the floor. That means I'm over halfway done, and I'm ready to get this thing finished. This is my favorite time of quilting. I've got just a few more blocks left and then I am finished. Or am I? So just to be safe, I rolled the quilt back so I can look over and make sure I didn't miss anything. Because changing threads, sometimes I tend to miss a block or two, and I am so freaking glad I did, because look what I found over here. Not one block, not two, but 1, 2, 3 whole blocks that I missed. Do you know how bad that would have sucked if I got the whole quilt off the rack before I realized that? Whew, I knew there was a reason I looked back over it. Well, even though I have 3 blocks to do, it'll only take a few minutes, and then, finally, I'm done. Whew, this quilt's even bigger after it's quilted. I wonder just how many stitches I have in this quilt. Oh wait, I know. 396,435 stitches all in that one quilt. No wonder it seemed like it took like forever. Well, I finished Julie's quilt, and what do you do after you finish an epic quilt? Well, you get busy on the next one, and here you can see I've got the next quilt getting ready to get loaded. What? I don't really have time to take a break. I've got too many quilts to finish. But I'll show you what Julie's quilt looks like in the morning when I have some good light. So I'll see you then. And this epic quilt is finally finished. It's humongous, but I had so much fun working on all the different fabrics and really highlighting the special prints that Julie picked out. Now remember, if you're working on a quilt where the fabric is the most important thing, there's several things you can do to highlight the prints. Whether it's using it as inspiration for other quilting designs or quilting around the designs themselves. Either way, your quilt is sure to look beautiful. So what did you think? Let me know if you have any questions. I love to read the comments and see what you all think of what's going on. And you can also find out more information about this quilt in the description box below. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video in the Help How Do I Quilt It video series.